Hey guys, welcome back. This is an all new episode of One Gear, the only show on YouTube dedicated to RC cars with just one gear. Why? Because one gear is all you need. On this episode, I will be your host. Jeremy, no last name, refused to make an appearance because there was just not enough money in the budget for fancy shirts for him. Go figure, right? Many of you already know that I am an extreme value conscious buyer when it comes to RCs of all types, especially fifth scale RCs. I thought this would be a great opportunity to land myself another extremely cheap, pretty much unheard of and rare RC car, the FS Racing 1/5 scale 30cc gas Hummer. I know that is a mouthful. I have currently paid for it. I have ordered it. It has been shipped. I'm going to tell you guys basically my decision making and the reason I got it and a couple of the snafus that I ran into with the shipping company. If you've been keeping an eye on my community posts, you'll see that I did do a posting where I said that they wanted an extra $90. So man, this company was playing extremely tough to ship. You know how sometimes girls play hard to get? Well, this company plays tough to ship. Okay guys, before I talk to you about my decision to buy the FS Racing 1/5 scale petrol gas Hummer, let me just show you this cool old magazine I found in some of my storage facilities right over here. This is a 2004 issue of Remote Control Car Action magazine. And guess what I open it up to? This is a Techno Kit on-road 5th scale car. Really interesting read. Honestly, I searched eBay for this and I was not able to find any used ones. Look at how cool this on-road chassis actually is. And the price, guys, I'm gonna put it right over here, $700. Now, yes, that is basically for the chassis and the engine. What I find extremely interesting is right here in the back, they tell you that it is radar tested 49 miles an hour from a Zenoa G230 22cc engine. I mean, basically this thing got almost 50 miles an hour from a 23cc engine when the HPI Baja from back in this day topped out at 28 miles an hour. Either way, let's talk about the Hummer and the reason I decided to buy it. So yes, the 5th scale bug has bitten me. I've already put some chamomile lotion on it, so you guys can't even tell, but it was huge on this arm right over here. I couldn't even go to the gym. Either way, I probably think I got the best deal. One of my subscribers on YouTube did tell me about this thing and I did check it out. The only negative is they got me with the shipping. So initially I thought it was quoted at $25, which is what the website said. And then after about a day, they messaged me and asked for an extra $90. I basically pulled every card saying, oh, you can't do that. Can you ship it? You know, blah, blah, blah. I do YouTube videos. Nothing worked. This brand did not budge. They played extremely hard to ship. So what about the specs of this RC? Now, yes, it is basically a Redcat. Do I see anything wrong with that? Not particularly. After my experience with the Rampage, I gotta say it is not a bad chassis. It is different. And yes, sometimes when you see a different product, you think that it's bad. Now, it is not bad. It's just different. Keep that in mind. This comes with a 30cc CY engine, which is really good. It's basically similar as the Redcat and the Rovan type engines. I don't know how powerful it is. There's no specs on that, but it is at least 30cc. What I find particularly interesting about this is, unlike every other manufacturer, this is, yes, it's a two-wheel drive, but it is fully upgradable to a four-wheel drive, which I would expect because the Rampage series, even the Dune Runner, which is kind of a Baja clone, is a four-wheel drive. So for $90, you can make this thing four-wheel drive and you'll have obviously four-wheel braking at that. That is honestly something that is extremely cool. In terms of size, it is huge. It's 32 inches. Now, let me tell you what the best thing is. It was on a giant, tremendous, enormous, gigantic sale. $377 ready to run. With, yes, the worst radio, but it's a 2.4 gigahertz unit. It's everything as you would expect in any Redcat Rampage MT. Now, the MT is $799. This is less than half price. And guys, look at that Hummer body. It has this kind of carbon fiber look. In terms of electronics, they are normal, basically on par with the Redcat. It's a 22 kilogram steering servo. They're waterproof. For me, 22 kilograms for that is fine. It's a two-wheel drive. So when it accelerates, chances are it'll still squat a little bit, and the front wheels will not have as much force on them when the car is accelerating. The tires alone on this truck are really enormous. They are about 8.25 inches. I did the comparison version for millimeters. They're a little bit smaller than the low C MT XL, but currently to date from any production RC car that is ready to run, we're not talking optional tires here. Those are, I think, the largest tires on the low C MT XL. And on this FS Racing, they're only about this much smaller. To me, that is cool. I think size matters when it comes to fit scales. If that was not the case, then we would all still be driving 10th and 8th scale RCs. But for the money, for the 377, yes, I got a little bit raped on the shipping, but you know what? It is being shipped all the way from the UK, and maybe even Jeremy will give me an autograph on it eventually if we have him on the show once again. I hope it is not just like every other Jaguar. Hopefully people weren't drinking in the production of this chassis in the factory like they were in the production of the Jaguar during the 70s. So what's the conclusion on this FS Hummer so far? I have not gotten it yet. It is basically being shipped. It's in Germany right now. They shipped it with UPS, which is honestly very surprising. Yeah, I wound up paying an extra $90, so my all-in cost is $490, which is still an incredible bargain. Look at this eBay listing for this exact same car. It's in the mid 600s. So yes, I still saved a whole bunch of money. That is something I think that is going to be cool for my channel, and I think many of you guys will also be interested. You know, yes, you can go out and buy a $1,400 5T, but how many people have already done that? There's basically all you need to know about the low C 5T. Yes, it's fantastic. We already know that. But what is important to me is the value proposition that these manufacturers make. I'm curious whether it's cool, and you know what? Why not give it a shot? That's what we're going to be doing, so stay tuned and watch. We're going to do a really good unboxing of this in the future when hopefully I get it. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about the Redcat Rally Rampage, and we're going to go over some of the thoughts that I have after a driving experience. In the last episode of One Gear, Jeremy and the Stig from New York City did test drive the car, but I don't know if you guys noticed, there were some really nice, great looking shots of the car, but absolutely zero information. I thought this was a great opportunity while Jeremy kind of got the boot from my show, that I give you guys some of my personal feedback while I observed them making a few hot laps around the New York City Nürburgring. If watching vegan games on YouTube taught me anything, it's how exciting watching yourself on a green screen can be. Either way, let's talk about the Redcat Rampage XR Rally. My overall impressions of the RC are actually surprisingly good. You guys gotta understand, if I say anything negative about it, it's really only because the kind of benchmark I've been using to compare it to is the clone of the HPI Baja. So yes, Redcat made a couple extremely weird decisions in the layout of the chassis, the way some of the stuff is mounted, but I gotta say nothing has broken at all. And as you watch this footage right here behind me, yes, I am not on the field, I am safe. I did not just hit myself with a car. Nothing broke. I was pretty much giving it full beans, I was giving it full brake, and literally nothing broke. In terms of checking whether the screws were securely fastened, guys, you don't even have to do that. I mean, mine were all so pretty much rusty, I couldn't even get them out. And I figured, hey, listen, if I can't get them out, then neither can pretty much the vibrations on the chassis, right? What about the electronics? The steering servo does the job just fine. I haven't noticed anything to complain about it at all. The only weird thing is when you're on asphalt, the car does have a little bit of torque steer. Every time you accelerate, it does pull to the right relatively excessively. So honestly, if you're driving on some kind of asphalt, you might want to consider upgrading your servo. In off-road conditions, it is not as noticeable because you do have a lot of extra wheel spin. In terms of power, I gotta say this car is not fast. Now, I have not done a speed test on it yet. That is something we will be doing in the future, but the car is reliable. It starts easy. It runs pretty consistently. The only modification I've done to it so far, and this is something that almost every 5th scale RCer knows, is to increase the vent hole on the fuel tank. So after a couple tanks, I did notice that when I was giving it full throttle, it did bog down. It actually turned off one time, you know. Here I thought it's some kind of massive carburetor issue, but it wasn't. It was just the vent hole was extremely small. It is now basically 2.5 times bigger than it used to be. I was not sure whether it included a Walbro carb, and on the bottom of the carb it does say Walbro, so that is actually pretty good. It does hold the tune fairly well and consistent. What are the best characteristics of this car? I gotta say it is the handling. Now, yes, you would expect a rally car to handle really well, and I was extremely surprised that this one actually meets that gold. The suspension, the dampening, the wheels, everything is just really good. The tires, which I thought were a disaster because they're glued, which is unlike any other fifth scale RC. No issues with the beads coming out of the rim at all, and I was pretty much pushing it there, full stop, full go, you know, in all the turns. Did you guys notice how cool the exhaust actually looks on this car? Now, it is not a dual exhaust, it's just a single exhaust, even though the body is shaped to look like it has dual exhaust. I looked inside the exhaust and it is not like an open cavity, what you would expect. Over here, it's literally just what looks like a baffle. Now, I think that is the reason that the exhaust is actually extremely quiet on this car. So at this point, I'm faced with a dilemma. Do I think it should use another exhaust? Yes, possibly. The only exhaust that I am probably aware of that is really good for this car is a Jet Pro, and they cost a little bit over 200 bucks. 200 bucks, which is 40% of the value I paid for this RC. That is not a value buy, guys, and that is probably not what I will be going with. Best case scenario to keep things under a certain budget for this RC is probably replacing it with a 30cc Rovin motor for about 140 to 150 bucks. That is going to be a good way to go. A cheap Zenoa G320 or a 290 is also an option. By the way, what do you guys think I'm going to do with this rocket? I don't know. Put it in the comments below. Maybe I'll do it. I mean, I have a rocket. Why not use it, right?